Welcome back to live coverage of the Brazilian division of Rainbow Six Siege Pro League. So good to have your company. My name's Riley, joined by Ollie and Jacob here, and it's time for our final match of today's coverage. Of course, we will be continuing coverage tomorrow, so mark your dance cards and get your tap shoes on because we will be back at it again same time tomorrow. Look forward to your company then. But for now, it is W7M versus Black Dragons. Let's get to meet these teams, get to know who we're going to be seeing a little better with this prepared video segment. We'll be back with an intro to the match after this.
Both of the following teams are having a rough stage and find themselves outside of the top 6, one more so than the other. After a first stage full of woe, W7M made changes, strengthening themselves by adding GD. Unfortunately, they still have struggled in the second stage, but with 2 wins in their last 3 games, could their fortune finally be changing? On the other side, after an irregular first stage, the Dragons also made changes. Perez and Resets arrived, and this stage has seen big wins over NIP and Furia, which puts them just 1 spot out from the top 6. With both teams starting off irregularly, it'll be difficult to see which way this engagement will go.
A gente sabia que eles gostavam de jogar Vila, mas a gente também estava dentro de planejamento que era esperado esse mapa, mas infelizmente a gente jogou mal, pra sorte deles, né? E a gente não conseguiu encaixar nosso game.
W7M is hoping to repeat their 7-4 win from the first stage, while Black Dragons want to get the chance to qualify for the Elite 6 with a win here.
Hoje contra a BD eu acho que vai ser um jogo difícil, eles são uma line muito agressiva, eles têm 5 entre fraggers agora, né, nenhum suporte, então todo mundo em algum momento ali já foi Ashe e Jäger em algum momento, então a gente sabe que a gente tem que tomar cuidado porque eles têm muita bala, mas acho que a gente é um time que sabe lidar bem contra esse tipo de coisa e tem tudo para ganhar.
A nossa map pool também melhorou bastante desde o último confronto, então a gente sabe também o que eles gostam de jogar e a gente vai levar para um mapa que a gente gosta de jogar e acho que a gente vai sair com um resultado bom.
Will W7M get away from their Stage 1 demons? Or will their demons get the best of them and push them further into the dust? Is Black Dragons going to take an important step towards the Elite 6, or will they be left out in the cold once again? Find out now in the confrontation between W7M and Black Dragons.
Where will we be playing? We do unfortunately have to go through the rigmarole, the charade really of pretending that there is anything other than a foregone conclusion. Of course, we'll be playing in Coast. Where will we be playing? Who knows? Let's talk through the map ban now. Jacob, where are we going to be watching this match and why is it going to be Coastline?
I'm just paying attention to Coastline. Today it's been nothing but Coastline 6 Siege, but Villa and Oregon off the table. A couple of very staple ones. Consulate for its own part was one I was very much hoping to see because I think Black Dragons on that map would have been great. Are we really heading back to Coastline? There's no chance.
No way! Oh, baby!
This is a meme. This is a meme. Simon is memeing on me. This is a meme. There's no way we're heading to Coastline for 4 straight games today.
Confirmed 4th one. Just
wait.
Clear.
Wait.
Delete all the other maps.
Wait a second.
No, it is Consulate after all.
Huh?
A bit of production wizardry from behind the scenes there, but no, it is in fact Consulate that we'll be playing on, not Coastline. We're not going to go for the quadruple down on Coastline this time around. We'll be heading instead to Consulate, and you can see Jacob.exe is not working anymore. So let's turn now to the teams that we're going to be seeing here. Ollie, I'll hand it over to you, mate, to talk to us about W7M. This is a team that has not done too well. They're 2-2 at the moment in this stage. They're at the bottom of the table, and they've got their work cut out for them. Ollie, talk us through this team and what we can expect to see them here on Consulate.
I think W7M have really made a lot of changes and they've kind of come on leaps and bounds really since stage number 1. They've been able to come away with points in every game that they've played so far, aside from that Liquid game. You mentioned there that they're 2-2. One of those losses, is an overtime loss. They still come away with a point there. They're doing a lot better than they did previously inside of stage 1. Some of the changes they've made is they've brought Mavin, a player who previously used to be on the side of Liquid, in their support instead. staff, so a player that brings a lot of experience and a wealth of knowledge, and it's kind of made a little bit of a difference there in terms of the way we've seen W7M play. Now they are suffering the same I don't know. They are suffering the same problems, I guess, that a new team always does, and that is the coordination on attack and things like that just aren't really quite there just yet. But that sort of synergy and teamwork will come with time, and we've got to speak to Mav a few times, and he's in it for the long haul with that squad.
We turn our attention now to Black Dragons on the other side of things. They're 3-2, picking up a bit of momentum. They've done a lot better in this stage than they did in the previous one. You can see them seated and ready, and I understand we're actually ready to head down to the match right now for the first time today, leaving the coastline, heading to the Consulate, and you're in the safe and capable hands of Ollie and Jacob.
Thank you very much, Riley. We are going to be jumping in now to our 4th game of the night. Jacob, do not worry. We're somewhere new. We are somewhere great. Okay. We are inside of Consulate now. Everything's going to be fine.
Okay. Finally, I've seen the light, and it's no longer in Spain. We're going somewhere else. We're going to Consulate. It's actually a map pick that I like because I think both W7M and Black Dragons should be fairly acquainted with a map like this. It's one that at the very least within Brazil has been played fairly consistently for every stage aside from this one. Believe it or not, it up until this moment had the second fewest plays, with the exception of the 3 coastline games that have been played today. It then drops now to the lowest played overall map in Stage 2 for BR6. But in this case, we'll finally get a chance to see what Black Dragons are made of against W7M. Black Dragons, a team that we hadn't been able to discuss that much in the pregame. A lot of things transpiring with them from stages 1 to 2, but the main difference was dropping Yuna and picking up Perez for their active lineup. Yuna, a mainstay within Rainbow Six, especially for his long tenure on FaZe Clan. And Black Dragons have kind of been a revolving door ever since the departure of the team that is now known as Ninjas in Pajamas, of pro players looking to remain within contention, so to speak. But Black Dragons have definitely been a bottom half team to, in this case, a bottom 4 squad for a pretty considerable amount of time. It would be nice to see if they can't find some form again. And they are the team primed and ready to potentially knock MIBR out of standing for the LATAM League Finals. If they were to get a full 3 points in this game, not only does that knock MIBR into 7th, but it also sets them up very nicely to start competing with the likes of Furia Esports for a higher position. So for Black Dragons, the stakes of this game are pretty high.
They are indeed, and it's a game that Black Dragons, on paper, should be looking to try and come away with. But as we know from what we've seen already tonight, you can kind of expect the unexpected. It's a while since it feels like a while since I've casted Siege, you know, Jacob. What we've been casting is Coastline, so it's nice to come somewhere new. There's actually going to be different things to call out here, and we can't just go into entire autopilot.
True. It's not like we weren't turning into broken records or anything, chat, don't worry, for the previous 3 coastline matchups. We can finally stop saying coastline. We're not able to draw comparisons between this map and anything else that we've seen on the day, so it's nice to get a little bit of a refresher before we sign off. W7M, Black Dragons should give us a pretty good show. Another pretty even contest on paper, by the way. For FaZe Clan versus Team 1 was one that we thought would be pretty close because that's 2 teams within the top 5, and this is 2 teams within the bottom 4, so to speak. W7M, like you mentioned in the pregame, have been making a pretty good amount of improvements, getting a point in every single one of their games with the exception of 1 regulation loss to Liquid earlier in the stage. And Black Dragons also have been doing at least marginally better, and it's because of that improvement that we're now talking about them contending alongside MIBR for Copa Elite 6. But the first kill will be Ion defeating Herds, knocking out the Zofia, which is a pretty big loss to start things off.
Never ideal to lose your Zofia early, especially when there's so many shields in play. Goyo bringing a lot of utility to try and deal with. It's a horrible angle there that Ion's going to be rocking. Not quite got the ACOG anymore to deal with it, but still a nice angle that can be held and something that's really going to give W7M a little bit of a headache here as they are moving very slowly on this approach. It's kind of a worry that we have about W7M is that they are a little bit of a slower attacking side. Ion, he has the heads up. He knows exactly what's going on. Not even going to get caught out in the cross as it's just being put in place too late. Both Buck and the Zephyr gone. It's not quite all your soft breach, but it's as near as damn it.
It's probably enough of it, and the problem is the thermite for a site like this probably won't be as impactful as you were looking for. W7M probably assuming Black Dragons might go basement to start with, but that is not the case. Ion pop-off, sir! Will there be 4 all right in a row trying to knock GDN off his game, but it will not happen. He will instead rotate all the way back to security, but he'll be in the welcoming arms of Patoxy and resets. It'll be Patoxy to scream up, grab the frag. Ion still will end the round with 4. Echo on Consulate. Some might call it underrated. Ion calls it a day's work.
Big round there for Ion. 4 kills inside of 1 round. Nothing to be ignored there with that sort of a contribution. W7M looking very lost there. Was a little bit strange to see. They just looked like they were lacking so much information. I'm not sure how they didn't know that Ion was going to be there. They had plenty of information available to them. Opted not to bring the Flores, which is, of course, another 4 drones that you can try and bring. We're going to get a replay here on that wallbang. Ion there with a nice crispy adjustment onto that. I guess, you know, if you're not getting the kill in the kill feed, you know you've not hit your shot, right? So he's able to make those adjustments, and maybe, just maybe, had his yokai drone in there and it was something his teammate could call out for him.
Should have been an ace. Might just be the MP5 SD kind of letting him down there, not getting enough damage to Thermite. Instead, it's Patoxy to clean the Thermite kill up. Nothing else. It's a good job for Ion. More so the rest of his team for making it difficult for anyone else to really pressure where Echo was positioned. He had a shield, a Goyo shield if I'm remembering correctly, upside TV office at the very top of Visa Stairs, and then can rotate freely from connector all the way back to Visa Stairs and even get downstairs to get a kill or 2. So he had all the freedom of movement he required to go essentially wherever he felt like, but it was based on the rest of the play from Black Dragons, and it was almost like they kind of got funneled directly into the waiting arms of Ion. No longer playing the Echo in this round, though. That has been forfeited in exchange for a Mozzie and another fast-firing weapon, but let's see if Herds falls prey to this potential Nitro Cell push. Windows have been punched. A little bit concerned, but the Nitro will rip, and instead Herds not even take it down to half HP. So now we look at Ion looking to rotate away from this spot. He has a couple pests that he can still use, and he's not the only member of his team 2 floors above the bomb site trying to stall for time. Patoxy can rotate all the way down Visa unless he's pressured away from it, and Ion, for right now, standing pretty resolute with about 45 seconds wasted.
Still vertical angles that are being controlled here, going to make it difficult for W7M to try and push in. And again, we're seeing that sort of trademark slow attack style that they do possess. It isn't something that you can afford to get away with on a map like Consulate. There's going to be a lot of things that you need to try and check off, and Black Dragons are doing a good job of staying patient here. It will be very easy for them to start throwing themselves at W7M, but instead they are taking the time and they are recognizing that there are these hard angles that can be held and positions that will need to be dealt with. And at the halfway point, we are slowly but surely seeing W7M make their way on in, but we put a lot of emphasis on the slowly there. Ion's still able to do pretty much whatever he likes. Perez's going to kick things off there with a kill over onto Herds. He's going to be inside of the bathroom downstairs in Antechamber. A very hotly contested location usually. W7M not really going for either option here. They're not going for that full clear of the top floor, and they're not fully committing to piano. It's really weird to see this sort of half-pregnant push.
Still 2 players upstairs. As if it turns into a case where some members of Black Dragons die closer to site, it's going to be a long time before Patoxy can rotate back with his teammates, but Perez will keep on making life difficult, as will Live. Panico and Mav falling by the wayside. It still turns into a case where Guy and GDN don't have any semblance of map control, and GDN's not even in the building for essentially the entirety of this round. He still does have diffuser, so he'll make the push in, grab 1 frag on the exit, so he'll pad his stats a little bit, but in terms of planting, it's essentially impossible at this stage in the game. If he can grab any more to keep stat padding, it'd be quite nice, but at this point it's already over. It should be Black Dragons going up by 2. Black Dragons are doing such a good job on the wasted roam. It's almost like both Patoxy and Ion didn't have to worry too much about their top floor because everyone else was denying as W7M attempted to make a push inside. So those two players who were 2 floors above the site didn't even really have to worry that much about where they were positioned. It was pretty easy for them.
Well, W7M there getting, like the donkey, caught equal distance between 2 bales of hay. Do you know what happens to the donkey, Jacob?
Is this an English saying I'm not familiar with?
I don't know, it's a good saying though. Do you want to know what happens to the donkey?
What happens to the donkey?
The donkey starves.
Oh.
Because it is equal distance from either bale of hay, and it can't make up its mind which way to go, where would be quicker.
That got so morbid. It's like that's an analogy you could be telling a child, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, the donkey dies.
The donkey's dead. Right? There is no donkey left in this little hypothetical tale.
Wow.
Jokes aside, that's kind of how I felt like W7M approached that round. Right? They didn't clear out the top floor. They didn't clear out piano. And everybody died. They were just not really doing a great deal of much. Well, we'll see if this round is going to be any different. W7M are bringing a couple of operators there that really could change the game here. They're bringing the Lion and they're bringing the Dokkaebi. Now, they are 2 operators that you see, and the last thing you think of is slow and steady. You think of aggressive, in your face, really trying to get some snappy roam cleared on here. Are we going to all of a sudden see some pace injected into this one?
For W7M's sake, I'd certainly hope so, because it's almost like kind of what we saw from the first game of Santos and Liquid, a case where W7M are running through some things on their checklist, sort of, because the checklist involves a lot more than what W7M have currently carried out, and need to be a little bit more decisive on these attacks and make up their mind about how they like their side approaches. Don't want to give Black Dragons a free site rotation without too much contention, but GDN trying to go in for a very early plant from main door. It will be denied by Ion from up top, and Toxic Canister from Live just for good measure. But Panico will not say die so far. He's upstairs and looking for some more of this top floor roam clear, but the issue is, if you're looking to clear the top, you've already lost control of your Hibana, but you're trying to make more of an effort with the remaining members of your squad. It's both Herds and Mav. 1 kill apiece. Diffuser's still down, but it's going to turn into just Perez all by his lonesome. Far faster of a round from W7M. Little bit more of that top floor pressure that was absent in the last round. It will not be a perfect site rotation for Black Dragons.
A big round there for W7M. I think they needed that one more than just for the score and the point that it is going to give them, but more for the mental. You know, things really weren't going in their favor, and they've just proved there that they can actually play a quick fire round of Siege that is going to work out for them. It was, you know, narrow margins at a time. The diffuser was cold in the site, and it wouldn't have been too easy to try and recover that. But they were able to frag out on that top floor, and they had a very clear plan. I think that's the big takeaway. There was a clear idea of what they wanted to do there. It was demonstrated in their lineup and the composition, the things that they were bringing. We could tell that there was something that was going to go on there, and it's one of the oldest tricks in the book is to try and get a plant in on that main door when you're attacking press and lobby. It's a good way to sometimes get a cheap round, and that's exactly what W7M have been able to achieve there. Now they've got to do something a little bit more difficult. They've got to try and start picking rounds up elsewhere, because it isn't going to be enough to just be able to get around every now and then on press and lobby.
Here's one main difference between North America and Brazil, by the way, Ollie. This site, it's just something you never see played in North America. Like, it doesn't have a 0% play rate, but it's just something that most teams in North America have kind of deemed indefensible, or other sites are simply way easier to worry about. So the fact that we're seeing it here makes me curious about how Black Dragons intend on playing this. If they want some people down below to be able to play some more of that bottom-up roam, W7M don't have that many avenues to take it, believe it or not. It's either a full admin clear with maybe someone rappelling back from the west side window on console office, but it seems as though most of it is going to have some sort of clear through admin, at least for right now. Mav will work downstairs and try to nullify a little bit of the utility, but this is where window simulator can also hurt the defense. So this, on both attack and defense, just kind of seems like it's really a no-go, which does make it a relatively even sight, but it's just kind of a pain to deal with on both sides.
It is a site that we do see somewhat regularly inside of Brazil, and it's one of those I'm not entirely surprised. I think it does require quite a lot of coordination to effectively take in through admin or through yellow, whichever it may be. So I would have to look up the win rate percentages for attack and defense on this site, but ultimately I think it's still relatively popular inside of Brazil, and we regularly do see it being brought. But W7M, they've got a clear idea of how they want to approach it. It seems they've gone for that admin side take. GDN going to be rocking the Hibana, so he should be able to get the wall open into meeting as well. There's going to be a few mute jammers to deal with, and that is of course going to slow the progress for W7M somewhat, but it's not going to slow it all the way. They're going to have to come up against some opposition soon. Mav really busy with the cable, making a lot of those vertical angles and trying to find his way on through. The clash of Ion could be a bit of a problem here for W7M, especially if they're going to go for such a direct approach. Still, Mute Jammer's going to be cutting them off. Herd's going to be looking to find that flank as he is on the rappel. You're getting ready for the execute right about now as W7M come in with the burn utility.
Attack needs to come in hard and fast because of where the clash is placed right here. The table's been destroyed, but the clash being here is still a massive issue. But it's almost like Ion's playing this position with no intent to leave at any point. Even if it means he dies, it's all a matter of time stalling because he can't leave through connector because of the position of one player on the rappel just outside the window, which makes it infinitely more difficult for Black Dragons to move the clash out of place. It's just a matter of how much time they can waste in this endeavor. There's Herds getting the first kill, but it's a quick trade as Live peeks back through the connector hole. He's a little worse for wear on the engagement, but Perez is making it up. And Ion pushing back towards Visa, almost to vending now at this stage. Bosco spot's not been opened, which means he's got clear rain, probably jammed off. So now at this stage, it's up to Gui and Mav as resets can no longer do anything in this round. Ion comes back off the shield, doesn't see the sledge coming back through. 2 straight kills for Ion. Can he make it one more through? He whips the shield back up, and Lion can't grab the kill in the very dying seconds of the round. That is expertly played from Ion, and the clash makes all the difference on top floor.
What a masterclass by Ion there, really showing us how best to use that clash. The foresight to go into the shield at the final few seconds and not try and take that as a 1 versus 1 gunfight. Very well done indeed. I think he even went for like a little bit of a turn as well, just to make sure that the shield came round a little bit quicker and was where he needed it to defend himself. We'd have to look back at it over a replay, which we probably are going to get. But a great round there from Ion in particular. He's really stepped up over the course of this Playday. You can see a couple of the kills here. Let's have a close watch as to... You do just see him go for that quick, like, 180 back to 180, I think. I'm not entirely sure what he did. I'm not familiar with the mechanics of Clash and exactly how it works, but there was definitely something that he did there to get that shield out a little bit quicker.
It's more a case, I think, of, like, the shield comes up from your right side every time you pull it out, so it can still block bullets when it's mid-animation. So as it's coming up, Lion's trying to fire at him, and he ends up whipping out the Gon 6, kind of as like a last resort, because he knew by the time Clash whipped the shield up, there was nothing he could really do. But those first 2 kills were so fast and so clean. The Sledge and the Hibana had zero idea what was hitting them. Probably, I don't think they heard Clash retract the shield to begin with, which meant they thought they had clear entrance to sight. Wasn't to be. And Clash just makes quick work of both of them, and Lion can't do anything in the end. So that's 3 on the board now for Black Dragons. Ion's going to keep his momentum going, playing Echo in the first round onto Mozzie for the last 3. It almost seems like if you kill Ion, maybe W7M have a chance in this game, but they've been... I mean, is it any coincidence that Ion has the same amount of deaths as W7M have wins? I don't think so.
Oh, there's a bit of a burn, that, Jacob.
I'm just calling it like I see it, man. I'm just saying what's on screen. I'm just saying what's on screen.
You can't say anything more. We cannot ask you for more than what is on the
There's
screen.
no deep analysis here. I'm not on a desk. I'm just like, yeah, this is what's happening, dude.
Well, exactly. That's what we do as casters. We just say what we see.
Greatest job in the world.
Lionscan going to come on in. Herd's going to try and push in off the back of it. Mav to find the opener this time. Perez not having the greatest of days so far. Getting taken out on the Vigil. Not the end of the world. He's still going to be able to man the cameras, and he's wasted all but a minute. So really, if you're on the Vigil and you're not going out and getting a ton of kills, you are going to get taken out relatively quickly unless you can keep yourself lurked away. Still a roam presence here to be dealt with, and it's something that previously we did see W7M struggle with. They hadn't, or couldn't, should I say, decide what to do. Do they go for the top floor clear? Do they go for the mid floor push? Neither really working for them too well. This time, Patoxy managed to grab one back onto Herds. Still plenty of soft breach available here for W7M. Black Dragons, they're holding this pretty much exactly the same as they did previously. What a long-range engagement for Live to get himself in. He's very brave and confident to take that with the SMG. He's going to quite rightly dip himself back out and just let Ion take a little bit of that load as he rotates down those main stairs.
Feels like Patoxy has been holding that angle and projector for most of this game at this point. The same holes being open, just waiting for someone to pressure from main, but the site is still a floor right below that. It's a very similar setup for Black Dragons by having both Ion and Patoxy holding 2 floors above site. W7M, their approach seems like it's been stalled simply by not knowing if roamers can affect the outcome of this potential post plant. Here comes Live downstairs. Live does get the trade back to Mav. Nitro for good measure, but GDN didn't push back to White Band by that point, so Live might have a free kill here depending on how far the ace swings out. Nope, the longer range scope will be more effectual, but it's still a 2 versus 2. Panico will make the rotate and try to cover GDN as he goes for a plant. But the problem is Black Dragons, both defenders are a little bit split. GDN does grab Patoxy. It's going to fall on Ion to pull out a masterclass play. No Nitro in his back pocket anymore. No, he actually still does, but he's not going to use it. He'll just see where both these players are for the moment, but GDN will come back up as the Buck forces the last remaining Black Dragons defender off pipes, and that will definitely help a little bit of composure regained from W7M.
A bet around there in that we saw a plant come down as well from W7M. They were able to actually chip away and force rotates back down onto site from the players of Black Dragons. It's a refreshing sight to see, as so far things really haven't been going in their favor, but the fact that W7M have been able to clinch out around there still gives us the opportunity at an equal share of the spoils here inside of this first split. We do have a... I think we're going back to a Clash clip from previously. Let's have a butchers and see what this is. So we do get... There we go. We do see the right-hand side just flicked to... We're getting the slow-mo as well. We've really put a lot of effort inside of this one. There we go. We get to see it in all of its glory. Again, just such a great round there, and shows true mastery of the operator. But it wasn't good enough in the previous round. Maybe they should have brought a Clash. Hey, Jacob, maybe that would have been the difference.
I don't know. Garage is open enough that you got to hold so many different flanks as Clash, and you can't whip around and use a gun. That's the biggest detriment to bringing a Clash, is you lose a gun in exchange for a lot of time stall, but Clash works really good in more like tight or claustrophobic areas, which is why her upstairs and projector was really, really good, because there was simply no way for her to leave. But there's a lot of places that she could get shot in the back from Garage, so makes sense why she's not brought. I do like how flexible Ion has been, though. He's gone from Echo as an anchor to Mozzie as a deep roam to Clash for one round back to the Echo. Like, Black Dragons are being incredibly flexible with who plays what. I think with the exception of Perez playing mostly roam operators and Patoxy just trying to play more of the verticality side of things. I do love how it just seems like they can really play any operator seemingly at any time, but W7M, for their own part, are keeping things relatively close.
Ion really embodying a flex player there in what he's actually capable of doing and what he's played on so far inside of this game. Split site is the current objective, as Black Dragons were successful here previously. This was the round where we did see Ion actually pick up those 4 kills. We have the ace yoinked away from him by Patoxy. How is the default cam still up? How?
Uh-oh.
Resets.
Uh-oh. OXG moment.
What is going on? Take advantage of that, somebody. Resets is still able to gather that information. Back into the yokai drone as well. He's just got so much time available to gather this information. Reset's, of course, playing a nice deep run. The cam is still there. What is going on? Now we do see a player inside a connector. I am going to challenge onto that, and quite rightly so. He's going to get cut off by the Goyo shield for a time. The Dokkaebi call going to deny the information. I'm going to take that opportunity to reload. He could get swung here, and he's going to be a little bit vulnerable. Still, there are players upstairs to try and take this engagement with him. Mav eventually going to shut him down. Well played on the side of W7M, leaving the default up or not. They have been able to get that opening frag.
Big loss at being Ion. It will turn live into another player trying to affect entry. At least the Dokkaebi will be down, but it's still not going to be enough. Mav might be in hot pursuit, and the Nitro Cell will be just a tad bit off the mark. But still, plenty of opportunities for Black Dragons to waste time. Panico does get recovered. Live, if he knows it's good for him, might want to make his way back down. The play now is there's still 2 Nitro Cells from below. The issue might be that there simply isn't enough intel. If there's a yokai that's situated in tellers, and they can probably still use the Nitro Cells from below and use one of their dead teammates to yellow ping on where it might get planted, but Live is not about to give up this position lightly. Instead, he'll walk into the waiting arms of Herds and the Zofia, but Patoxy trying to answer back. He's one of those Nitro Cells, though, which means if he tries to go for a standard, like, denial, it's simply not going to work. Reset's getting pressure from so many angles all at the same time. Here comes down the flood. That's 2 for Resets. Patoxy tries to help out. A 1 versus 1. Mav's got to go back for the diffuser. This could be a huge clutch for Black Dragons. Coming back from a man disadvantage. Mav needs to go in for a plant, and he will get it down inside server. Patoxy looking for an opportunity to stop this, but it may go down before he gets to it. He's going to reveal his position in 2 seconds. The gunfight is won by Patoxy. There's no way. He swarms down Visa. He's got help from the Mira at the same damn time. There's no way Black Dragons pull that one back. Incredible.
Big round there from Patoxy. Very well played indeed. He was obviously quite pleased about that one as well, as we can see him just unloading a clip for good measure just after getting that kill. I think as nice as the play was from Patoxy, you kind of expected to win those. What you're not expected to win is Resets playing inside of Harry Potter. Underneath of those stairs, he's got the Vector. We all know the Vector to be a really great weapon, but a weapon that does have a super fast fire rate. So you've got to be careful on how you preserve that ammunition. We're going to be able to watch what he's actually able to do here. Just burst firing, couple of shots. Questionable at finishing the down player, but still will let him have it. He was able to get the second, waste a little bit of time. The shotgun didn't really do as much as it needed to, but still, the hard work had been done by that point. The fact that Resets is able to get himself 2 kills inside of that position is massive, and it really just removed any advantage that W7M had throughout the course of the round. Put it firmly in the favor of Black Dragons. After that first split, we are going to see Black Dragons lead at a scoreline of 4 rounds to 2.
You even saw in those reaction cams too, Mav knew the exact moment at which he lost the 1v1. He just got his head in his hands. For all intents and purposes, with his team dying around him, he played that about as accurately as he could. He didn't try to find the final frag. He was instead just getting the diffuser down. He's really doing his job, but that still allowed Patoxy to sneak into a really good spot where he wasn't detected through the rotate. There's so many different places he could have come from. Mav had the right idea, just a matter of landing that final gunfight. So everything aside from the last bullet was something W7M technically did correct. Aside from funneling 3 players all into one death zone, more or less, coming down Visa. Still pretty impressive, but W7M now on defense looking to bounce back a little bit.
Well, W7M needs some sort of a bounce back here. Things haven't gone their way on the attacking side, and I guess now they can lean into some of those advantages that the defense inherently gets. And of course, you know, W7M, a team that has made a couple of changes, is showing those signs of struggle on the attack, and it's something that they're going to have to work on long term. What a C4. Look at Resets' face. What can you say? Realistically, what can you say or do?
It's just Siege, dude. There's nothing else you can do with this. Let's see if it comes up here in picture. He's just trying to peer right in, but nope, he gets...
You've just been done. You've been absolutely done.
He got dunked and didn't even realize it until it was too late. That's so unfortunate. But...
I mean, that's the power of 5 C4s, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, 4 C4s. I guess Mira mustn't have brought one.
I guess it depends. Gotta wait for them to get off cams before we figure out if they actually have that. It's the one thing about the spectator UI that's a little confusing at times. Nope,
Oh, no,
he's still got it. Yep, that's 5 C4s. And the pulse being employed in this case. So it will be a case where Black Dragons need to clear top floor as per usual, but then be aware that even if you're going for a Teller's Plant, which it seems like Thermite already may be attempting to do, that the pulse will be there trying to stall it out. Ion will grab Herds. Panico takes a fair bit of damage, but there still isn't a plant being forced yet. Live probably won't be under perfect coverage from this right now. Here comes a Nitro, and it will take him down. So that's the main problem. There's still a pulse, and there may be cameras up there as well to worry about, at the very least, from a Mozzie drone, but Patoxy will try to force, again, another chance to plant. It's still going to be Pulse looking straight up. Now he's going to be the one to use his Nitro Cell. That one will fall short. Here comes one more as Mav on Mozzie is waiting for Pulse to give him the yellow ping about where they're going to plant. It's still W7M cleaning up upstairs, though.
It's honestly one way of doing it. Bring 5 Nitros, bring the Pulse, and just let your teammates ping out for you. This is likely going to be another kill right here if the C4 goes right. No, Mav. He actually only gets the down, but it's enough to stop the plant regardless. Perez now has a lot of work to do. Finds himself a couple of quick kills. Not a lot of time left remaining. Another C4 is going to swing and miss. He might actually be able to get it down here, but more likely going to have to try and take the firefight. Goes for the corner, hits the perfect headshot. Really good crosshair placement there. Now gets himself back upstairs and looks to make the plant stick. He's going to get pushed here, and he hasn't really picked the best place to try and get this down. Guy, you got a glimpse there as he was making that run up the stairs. There was a drone in the drone hole, so the info would have been available to Perez had he done that a little bit sooner, or maybe found a bit of a different angle. Again, just coming down to that time factor.
Now, big respect to him for going down Visa, finding the kill that he knew was going to be there. Like, with 2 players downstairs, he knew he would get swung Visa no matter when he tried to plant. So he said, maybe I can get 1 frag off and then have a little bit more time to scamper back to the site. But it's still the Mira who comes back up the exact same avenue that Perez scampers right back up, and there's no opportunity for him to get the plant down anywhere else because there's still so little time remaining on the clock. This exact idea, though, of that many Nitro cells below the bomb site and just relying on the Pulse and the Mozzie intel to tell you where this is happening, it works great when all of your players are in archives but aren't getting pressured. So Black Dragons were looking for a chance to get the plant down as fast as possible, presumably because they knew the floor would become lava in due time, but that meant no one pressured from Garage or came down Spiral to look for a frag. Everyone for W7M remained on the site waiting for a Teller's Plant. So if Black Dragons had understood that there wasn't a roamer, then maybe they could have stopped some Nitro cells from being thrown sheerly because the player couldn't rip the Nitro. He would have had to have his gun up and waiting for a Black Dragon's approach somewhere from the basement. Still not to be, though. 5 Nitro cells turns out to be the play. W7M are keeping this game pretty close.
Well, how many times can you pull off a sort of 5 Nitro style strategy? I would really classify that into the sort of pocket strat book, where it's going to get you around every now and then, but that's something that should really be something that Black Dragons can combat if we do go down there again. Maybe it's not something the W7M are going to look to bring again. Maybe it's just a way to get them to being 1 round away off level here. I guess we may know if we get an interview later on, but for the time being, we're going to be focused here and now on the garage. Live. Drone survives for a bit longer than I thought it might do there, as he gathers a little bit of intel and just gets the lay of the land inside of that bathroom area. Always a very heavily contested zone, and somewhere that Black Dragons are no doubt going to look to try and take control of. Finally have found out the player in there. Panico going to be on the mute, as is tradition. Typically you will get mutes playing inside of this bathroom area. The hatch being opened. You can hear plenty of gadgetry around him. ADS is ticking off as well. Ooh, a chance there. Ion. He's going to be able to dish a good bit of damage down. And all of that is enough to force Panico back down onto the site.
It'll be enough for Black Dragons to not waste utility on the rest of Bathroom, knowing that the one player that was in there is there no longer. Do you think the primary concern will just be where the other roamers are situated now? Mav looks like he's the only one with clearance to go from Spiral to the rest of main door. Lai will, at the very least, open up one panel, looking for a chance to get the second one once the mute gets cleared. But it seems like a relatively standard take. Diffuser outside garage, and it'll be up to Black Dragons to force pressure from up top before they make the rest of their play inside. It's just Mav really to worry about now, because he's the only one who can stop Black Dragons from getting these vertical holes, and once Black Dragons feel like there's enough space created, they'll make this push. But the issue is, anyone from Pipes can make a swing in and make it infinitely more difficult for Black Dragons to get that plant down in the first place. First kill is Herds getting removed from the field, so now defense will be even more critical for W7M. They have to lock this in and not let Black Dragons get any more momentum.
Plant is going to start to go down now in the cloud of the Toxic Babe canister, but it was not thrown far enough. Live is going to be fit and well and able to get himself back outside of the breach. Now W7M are left trying to find any attackers, but spoiler alert, a lot of them have got themselves outside. It's a very easy site to hold from the exterior. Toxie and Ion doing a little bit of damage up there as they still command control of Piano. So many vertical angles available. GDN, any number of angles could have been challenged there, and we could have seen Live playing any one of them himself. Always a tough one to really go against and to challenge onto the outside. A nice simple plant and take round from Black Dragons. Puts them 5-3 up.
There's a discussion that I love bringing up. It was between Jesse and myself. We had it backstage for an NAL Playday, and it was, what's the hardest retake in Rainbow Six Siege? In competitive play, what's the single hardest retake? And we came down to two. We came down to Snowmobile Garage on Chalet, and that garage on Consulate. Because both of them are situations where you open up the main garage door. If you get the diffuser down, it's within a spot where you're not able to realistically get back to it because the white van is blocking the defenders from seeing where the diffuser is or even approaching it again. You have to go all the way around the van, and if the wall's been completely opened, there's no way to use the wall for cover. All you got to do as an attacker is scamper outside, and you can't check every single part of an open driveway with a hill like that.
It's a nightmare.
You simply can't watch every angle. It's genuine. It's impossible. You've got high ground advantage, almost like you're playing a battle royale. It's ridiculous. Some of the best teams in the world have struggled trying to retake that site if it gets planted in that exact location, and sometimes it happens by just way of sheer luck and gun skill. There's not really a good way of getting it down, which is why your defenses on that site must be super resolute, and you can't even allow it to get to a point where the diffuser gets planted. But it might be a case where W7M decide not to head back downstairs if sites go that poorly, and instead they'll go right back up to lobby.
Well, they can always go back to 5 C4s if all else
they can.
fails.
After this round, it opens back up for them. That's true.
It opens back up. That's the light at the end of the tunnel at the moment, I think. W7M are like, guys, we win this round. We go back down to 5 C4s. We could level things up here. Like we've got a chance at taking this, but this is the round that does stand in their way. Good old press and lobby. Now, this is the side that we saw W7M attempt the very cheap and very cheeky plant inside of that main door. It's not something that Black Dragon's looking to go with. They're wanting a little bit more surety on the situation, and they're going to try and take this top floor first. It's usually a good place to start. It's going to be a... look at the teamwork. Just pinging out the drone, hit the Z ping, and Ion all of a sudden can be able to know where to take out that camera instead of trying to find it through the floor. Admin side control really being taken here to the fullest of extents. Gee's still going to be playing inside of Connect though, so there is a presence upstairs here from W7M.
Should be relatively easy for BD to force him out of Simply Connector. It is a console. It's Consulate, so it's window repel simulator on its best of days, but it's not something that's really had too much effect on this round, simply because we've only seen console once, and W7M on their roam haven't been as effective as Black Dragons were when they played defense, so it's a little bit of the duality of man, so to speak, with how both teams have opted to play defense on this map. And it seems as though W7M are either going to be below the site or on the site proper as opposed to up top. But Black Dragons only have admin control. They may look to force down, maybe have Visa before pushing from east to west at the moment. It doesn't seem as though there's probably one Black Dragons player is on the west side of the map because of how thin it is, which does matter for quite a lot. But Live now has entry. He might just try to get a plant back behind Circle Desk, or he'll try to fake something out here, if nothing else. He'll still go for a plant, but on the opposite side of the desk now, Herds and Gee, 1 kill apiece, but he's going to stick to plant, is Live. So it's now a matter of where he's going to sit. Can he sprint and get out of dodge? He'll try, but he will inevitably fail. Falls on Ion and Perez, but 2 kills apiece for them, so this is probably still a winnable position. Someone on W7M might need to go for a run out in this case, but now an ill-advised vault from the Jaeger. It still will down Ion in the process, but it's still a 2v1. Mav on the diffuser, but Perez, he's got high ground. Look over to your left, young man. You know he's there, but he still gets beamed by the Vector of Gee. W7M pull yet another round back.
Well, what are we watching there? That is a tough round if you're a Black Dragons player or a Black Dragons fan to try and come to terms with. That's a round and a site that they really ought to have come away with, especially getting the plant down. Some strange decision making on their part and some kind of almost ego challenges when the plant was down. And of course, a bit of a strange plant location as well. It wasn't necessarily a default spot. So always a little bit more difficult to try and retake onto that. You could see that Perez was particularly struggling there with getting himself through the breach into meeting and then being able to get a position to affect the plant underneath. And we see Ion, he's going to be holding there outside and he's able to find himself a couple of kills, but for some reason just gets way too aggressive on that challenge. Now the pressure was coming in, buddy. You've got to wait for your teammate in that situation. You've got to wait for Perez to get a bit of a better angle from the hatch and try and use the element of surprise as well as everything else that's going in your favor. Alas, it is going to be a site that does go to W7M. Now, the question here is, what are we seeing? And that is not split. We're going back down to Garage, Jacob. What's going on?
I'm already seeing the differences in how W7M want to defend this. Hatch is reinforced in bathroom, so you won't be able to use it as like a death utility dump box or hold a player upstairs unless you really want to get suicidal with staying in that room by yourself with no potential way out, unless you want to make a hole in the soft wall. But that does kind of defeat the purpose of trying to hold that room. You don't want an easy access way for the attackers to get into it. But I am curious if that means that they might try to play a little more roam heavy, if they put some more bodies upstairs, or if they're keeping everyone downstairs, and the reason they reinforce the hatch is so that they could turtle all of their defenders up on the site. Rooney seems to be all the way at the very top of the building now. There is no wall denial, so that will mean Black Dragons get this entire wall open completely for free without the need to take piano control, but it still will come down to how much Black Dragons take of this top floor before they move in the first place.
Well, the breach being open again. Live maybe getting himself in a position to try and get something down as we see a utility burn coming on in. Toxic Babe canisters are going to be used here. Live still looking to gather that intel as the nades try and clear out the deployable shield on pipes. Nobody playing behind White Van, nobody on pipes. That's going to be the call, and I think the call will be to maybe try and get something down here. There's opportunity. It isn't being too heavily contested. Perez are going to be able to gather a little bit more up-to-date information as we see the Argus cams get deployed as well. Ion and Patoxy trying to make an impact now from those yellow stairs, and they're going to do just exactly that, opening things up with a frag onto GDN. The plant not being attempted here. Instead, it's just going to be an out-and-out frag fest. All level at an equal 3 versus 3. Panico.
Oh, Panico.
Where he is, and he's going to get the audio that the plan was being attempted. Drone work leaving something to be desired there. An unsure call as Perez still doesn't know where exactly Panico is, and he's causing a nuisance. Picks himself up another one. Finally will be shut down. You've got to land your shots there, Perez. That's why they picked him up. The young gunner. He's going to find the last 2. Puts Black Dragons back in a decent advantage.
Oof. Is that match point for Black Dragons already? That was fast. I was about to make a point about Black Dragons and their attack strategy sometimes seeming a little bit one-dimensional. In that case, it was just open the wall, go for plant. There wasn't a lot of vertical control. Holes were being opened by W7M, but couldn't be used back in Black Dragons' advantage. As a good friend Emzo has said before, holes work both ways. The round before that seemed like it was very much the same, and even the time where we saw the 5 Nitro cell play from down below, it was a case where Black Dragons simply tried to get the plant down as fast as humanly possible without clearing the bottom floor, yet in spite of that happening, they're still managing to make this work. And even with Panico trying to go big, Perez simply, his position's not known. He gets to the black car, bottom yellow as fast as humanly possible, and Vigil just doesn't have the reaction time. So Black Dragons, 1 point away from, by the way, reminding you of the stakes of this game, putting themselves above MIBR if they win. Already 1 point has done that. They've already secured themselves at the very least 1 point in BR6 for Stage 2. But it may very well mean that if they keep this kind of performance up, MIBR may not be going to Copa Elite 6.
This was a sight that we saw back in round number 7. It was the first choice from W7M, and they are seemingly bringing it out here when they need it the most.
How many Nitro cells?
Good old 5 C4, 1 pulse. Sounds like the start of a horror film, honestly.
I was thinking the signature wrestling move from John Cena, the 5-knuckle shuffle.
Oh, okay.
Or if you prefer the metal band 5-finger death punch.
Not familiar, but...
Or I'm trying to think of any other finger references. I don't know.
Well, hopefully you come up with something.
Will Black Dragons fight the hand that feeds them? Nah, it doesn't work too well.
I mean, the C4s aren't really feeding anything.
Not yet.
I do want to see how Black Dragons deal with this, though, because they know, like, it's very known, and Recess has already found himself chunked down. I'm wondering if he's not actually tanked to C4 yet. It must have been some sort of firefight, because we can see that everyone has actually still got a C4. Black Dragons obviously going for information here. They honestly could do worse than just a straight flat push. They can't really afford to be playing this vertical, because they are just going to get punished on it. Perez does have a little bit of intel and is going to try and pre-fire through. It's really going to come down to taking gunfights and avoiding trying to pressure that vertical.
Ooh, a little bit of a miscommunication, I feel like, as Patoxy gets the kill on Herds as he vaults in, getting at least 1 kill, or hopeful 1 kill, onto Yana, but Perez will escape with his life thanks to the crossfire. So 1 Nitro cell is gone before it's even utilized, so there are no holes yet inside tellers for W7M to work off of. It seems as though Guy can do a little bit of work on the outside, ensuring that if someone wants to come from garage, they got to punch the barricade and reveal their position. So that will take a little bit more time for Black Dragons to deal with. Still, so many Nitros down below. There's no way you can't consider W7M in the advantage for right now. Despite being a man down, Black Dragons are not going to have a lot of time to juggle the diffuser, so to speak, if it turns out they have a lot of people who need to get it down already. The player with diffuser has been removed from the field. That is live and the diffuser, but Resets will be the one to claim it.
Less than ideal there to lose live, especially when he is the carrier, but the diffuser will be shuffled around now, and still not a terrible situation that Black Dragons find themselves in. Time is going to be running short, though, and with still 3 C4s in play, you're going to need to come up with something. Panico's still alive, able to gather that information. Perez desperately trying to bait and switch, but we can see it's just not going to be good enough, buddy. You are going to die very shortly, as that is actually going to be 2 kills coming in at the same time. GDN trying to put the firefight down as well. 14 seconds now remain. Ion, more health out of the 2. Is 2 going to go for the plant? But yet another C4 does get himself out of the way. This is actually great, because we can see with the overlays, we do have Resets covering the flank, but it's not going to be enough. W7M and their 5 C4s is pretty unmatched here on Split.
It's nice that it's working. I'm just disappointed Black Dragons didn't do anything else to force pressure from a different part of the site. Again, 5 C4s. Everyone from W7M is downstairs on the bomb site. The only time we saw someone kind of leave a little bit was Goyo barricading double doorway to security. That was like the only time. Every single defender is downstairs waiting for an opportunity to use the Nitro cells, and Black Dragons were far more indecisive that round with what they wanted to do. They very clearly still wanted the Teller's plant. They weren't about to go downstairs to get it, but they don't do anything different from the last time W7M defended Split. In fact, they did everything they did from that previous attack, except way slower. And W7M had so many people up in Nitro cells that could have, like, stopped diffuses until 50 seconds after the round was over. Like, there was still so much denial from W7M. And Black Dragons now hoping that they can close out this match and not have it go to overtime, because W7M's trump card of split sight is no longer something they can fall back on.
I think that's maybe going to be the key thing here that Black Dragons need to focus on. Just sort of forget the fact that they've struggled on that split site with the 5 C4s for 2 rounds now, and just look to focus on press and lobby. It too isn't a site that they did too hot on. They were able to get the plan down, but it was very deep. It was behind the circle desk, and it wasn't something that they were able to effectively hold onto. So maybe a little bit of a slower and steadier approach this time. W7M bringing out the Clash, and Panico going to be roaming upstairs on said operator. Is going to make it quite difficult to get them in, and it could be something that slows Black Dragons down, but realistically this is as good a chance as any that Black Dragons are going to have at trying to convert this into a game win.
Only 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's all Black Dragons needs to stall for. And in this case, they've been able to get a decent handle on lobby attacks so far. I guess the only reason that they lost it last time W7M defended onto lobby piano was more because once the plan had gone down, Black Dragons just didn't have the cross angles required to hold things from above. They had one roamer from W7M come right back up spiral as well, I think a little bit late, and it came down to a 1 versus 2, and Resets wasn't able to hold everything by himself. So we'll see if Black Dragons can make a little bit of an adjustment off the back of that. And I've mentioned one-dimensional attacks before because it seems like for whatever sites W7M defends, Black Dragons are going for the same approach, even if, you know, it differs only slightly. It's not like they're trying a completely different attack strategy. It's mostly that they're playing into what W7M understands is their default, and BD are just trying to make sure that they don't waste too much time on things like this roam clear. So if they manage the clock a little bit better, I reckon they can get this plant down and get out of dodge and give W7M a lot more players to find with very little time.
Still a roam clear going on here. Ion can get himself potentially outside. He was the player that held the plant from the doorway last time. In this instance, Live going to be the diffuser carrier again. Reset's just narrowly missing out on Herds. Going to try and pre-fire through. Herds doesn't really have too much of a reason to peek onto this. Reset's actually going to finish the kill. I know what is Herds doing? Why is he peeking onto that? He's going to get himself taken out. Gee, he's going to find the frag over onto Ion. Still the diffuser in Live's capable hands, and it is going to start to go down. Plant is going down unbeknownst to everybody. How is this happening? Even if he dies, no! 0.1 second, a very small margin. The plant was unsuccessful, and that's likely going to take us to an overtime. Honestly, it's going to be a big ask here from Resets and Patoxy to get the job done. As Live just falling foul there of not only the Toxic Babe gas, but also Clash and the shield. Resets trying to make some sort of an entry now in through piano. He does have the opportunity to get himself in, but is he aware of the player inside of the bathroom? It's usually a safe bet to guess that someone is going to be there. Patoxy 2 getting chunked on down as he isn't going to be able to win out the gunfight. 2 versus 1, 1 versus none. GDN, he's going to find the final 2 there. Still the Clash alive. Who'd have thought we'd go all the way to OT inside of this one?
I don't know. I feel like Black Dragon said, yeah, we want the same plant spot as last time. We don't have as many cross angles as we'd like from above because it felt like they were still trying to set up upstairs. They had roamers cleared, not entirely, so they were still kind of running through, I guess, a part of that side of their attacking checklist. And then the plant goes down, and Thermite simply decides to tank a Toxic Babe. He just tanks it. He just sits there and takes the entire thing, and you gotta understand, if a Toxic Babe gets thrown at you, even at the beginning of a diffuser plant, it is going to kill you before you get that plant down every time. W7M had it scouted perfectly. Smoke played bathroom that entire round. He ends up nabbing 3 kills total on the round, I believe. 1 with the gas canister and 2 with the SMG-11 as he gets swung from 2 different angles. And you were right. It was almost a foregone conclusion. Despite it being a 2v2 and Black Dragons finding 1 final kill on the end of it, it was just like a sledge and a 0 swinging a smoke with like 2 HP combined between the 2 of them. W7M, lobby and split side defenses seem like they have them down perfectly. How does Black Dragons respond now that they shift to attack?
Could it be a bit of a foreshadowing here that it is overtime where W7M get the chance to defend again, and they're going down to the split site? It's a nut that Black Dragons have been unable to crack so far. Now, I know what everyone might be thinking, but they've only brought 4 C4s this time. Still, the information that they're going to be able to gather from the Maestro cameras, the Alder, just in itself, all of that is good enough reason to not have to bring the C4s as well, and you've still got 4 of them. How many realistically are you going to be capable of getting out there? Black Dragons need an entirely new approach here, and I would love to see them just push in through the garage and just go, you know what, let's just take this as a flat firefight. Let's try and get away on through there. Because this top floor approach and trying to work down and the baiting out of the utility like they're doing is something that just isn't working for them.
I mean, the angles being held from above is nice if you can get the plant down, just because you have an angle you can hold from admin in the event that, you know, it turns into a retake situation. It's just not something that Black Dragons have been able to use effectively. There's the Maestro getting pegged. A kill that's not with a C4 as the roaming Maestro comes from Tellers all the way back up. 2 kills as Patoxy swings the window, expecting the Maestro not to be there. And instead, it's the inverse, but Live will still answer back with 1 kill. Still with Diffuser in hand, only half HP though, and that's a massive problem when you consider the fact that those Nitro cells, they're going to kill you whether you're at full strength or half HP, so you might want to maybe pass Diffuser off to somebody else in this case and see if you can't get the plant down instead, leave Live for one of the last players to do it, but nope, they're just going to keep on exploring Tellers, see if utility can't be baited. They will waste as much time as possible waiting for these Nitros to be thrown up. It's going to wait for Panico to hope a player remains stationary enough to assume that that's the Diffuser. Resets will still knock out Herds. Here comes one from Panico. He's going to put it down. He may not be able to recover it now at this point, but Plant still is not being executed. Here's the potential for a drop now as the hatch is going to get opened up, but the Nitro's still ringing true, but it will actually down Panico. So they only have the intel from maybe 1 Maestro cam. If Ion gets this Diffuser now, they may have a chance to plant.
Resets has got to try and cover him as well. He's going to nade on through to try and keep underneath relatively safe. But with that lack of information,
he
that
got
crucial down, the plant has been successful. Now, sure, we may have lost Ion in the process, and it puts Resets in a tricky position, but this is the best that Black Dragons have done so far. Resets finds 1. Can he find the second? He's got to pre-fire it. The Claymore's going to do the job. Does Panico have the intel? I would wager the answer to that question is going to be yes. He's going to go move on through. He does have plenty of time to disable this Diffuser, and it looks as though Panico did get that call out. He did have the heads up. We apologize for the slightly reduced sound through that, but hopefully we'll be back at full volume with the game now. W7M, they are one of the scrappiest teams inside of the BR6, and every single week their games go this scrappy distance aside from that Liquid week, but this is no different. Here they stand on match point, ready to take it against Black Dragons.
We kept on talking about Black Dragons, I think, as a team that we had maybe more expectations for. Like, it's a team that has so much pro pedigree on it over the span of the past couple of years. But W7M have managed to correct the crash course they were on. I think a lot of it having to do with the effect that Mav has had on this team. It's been, like, really cool to finally not only see him come away from the scene, but also just that W7M is a team that people simply didn't have expectations for. By comparison to the rest of Brazil, there's so many heavy hitters in Brazil. Liquid, FaZe Clan, NIP, Team 1, whoever it might be. So it's fantastic that W7M are also, you know, they can roll with the punches a little bit. It's not like Black Dragons were ever going to roll over them in this game. We did figure it was going to be close before it started, but if they can close this game out after having been down by a pretty sizable margin at the half, it would make a pretty big statement. And Black Dragons also, their position in the top 6 would not be secure in the slightest.
Well, overtime match point here. Are we going to see all 15 rounds, or is this going to go toward the side of W7M here and now? They are on the attack, and it's a side that they struggled with. They came out of the attacking side at a 2-4 split. So, just to temper our expectations before we get into it, that's what we're dealing with here. It's likely we're going to see all available rounds based on how this game has gone so far. But you never do really know. The fact that they are on that match point could be a little bit of a driving force for them and give them some of that confidence to move a little bit quicker, because when they have been moving a bit quicker, we've seen them do a little bit better. There's been a mirror window placed on the garage door. That's just going to make it a little bit more tricky to breach onto. You see resets playing on the Alder. He's looking to already challenge. Tempted there to open up the breach and maybe give himself something to work with. All the players on the side of W7M stacking up outside of this breach.
Pops a mirror window, maybe resets and get a little bit of HP. He does on Herds, but it won't be a case of swinging it. Oh, might have actually been trying to impact trick.
Yeah, I think so.
The exothermic. It will not be successful, but at least the attempt is there. It's the thought that counts in a situation like that. I think for right now, it will still be a matter of can White Van get cleared. The W7M trying to go for the same take Black Dragons have gone for time and time again. But it will still take a lot more time before W7M have the control that they need, because Black Dragons they've dug themselves into a couple of power positions, like White Van security, all the way back by pipes. Herds might get taken up by a Maestro cam here if he's not careful. Panico on the Nook, trying to also nullify the intel gain. First kill of the round goes to Mav, as Patoxy on the roam is destroyed, seemingly, from across the map. Now GDN, they're going to force the pressure down from Yellow. They know players are in security, but they're not getting very aggressive or holding the angle very consistently. They will get the Thermite in to smoke off. Diffuser's been given to Panico because GD is just going to hold the angles back from Yellow, and resets will equalize. So now Herds coming back in. Nook moving straight onto Black Car, trying to plant from that position. Having it be Nook is actually pretty darn ingenious, but Live will squeeze right back in. It's a 4v3. W7M still trying to hold these positions from outside. At the very least, man count advantage is nice for Black Dragons to have. Is Live going to stick this one? He'll try, but there's 3 kills back to back to back. That retake might just be the thing that puts Black Dragon's chances in the dirt. It's going to fall on Perez. 1 kill in security, but both members of W7M are outside the building. Yet again, this retake might be the thing that makes Black Dragons reconsider ever wanting to play this site ever again. Here comes GD on the swing. No, the SMG-11 will win it out in the end, but there simply isn't time. Gui can then swing, find the final kill, and it will be W7M getting an upset victory over Black Dragons to end the Playday.
What a game to finish things on. We really nearly went all the distance there. W7M managing to squeak it through at the end. A game that really looked as though it could have gone Black Dragon's way, but ironically, attack being where these teams struggled, and then attack being where W7M were able to bring it home on 13 kills apiece for Mav, Guy, and GDN. Big performance from those 3. What a final round as well. Tough stuff for Perez. You would, your heart's got to go out to him there. He's played that as best he can, and he's just been caught in a really tricky situation. But at least we got to see something that wasn't a coastline, and W7M, they continue that form of really sort of scrying them over the line, because they're never a pretty game at the moment.
It's a nice second map for Riley to finally get introduced to as well. So why don't we get him back in here and we can talk about how this one transpired. That was a lot of fun. I didn't think it would be nearly as close of a contest. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed myself on a map that wasn't coastline for once today. Thank you, Siege Gods, for giving us that game. It
was quite a performance really from both teams, and great to get another overtime match as well. Really quite down to the wire. But the technical play from both of these teams really impressed me there. You know, we saw some pretty scrappy games earlier on. We saw some teams like Liquid, for example, not bring their best game. We saw a 7-1. This was just some good Siege, man. Like, we just saw some really good games, Ollie.
Yeah, it really makes me laugh there, because you sort of say we saw some really scrappy play, you know, Liquid, and it's just it's
true though, right? Like,
true for today, but typically it isn't something that we regularly goes in the same sentence. But yeah, you know, you got to call it as you see it. From the top, you know, we saw a bit of a scrappy game from Liquid, but there in that last game, there were 2 teams that were really well matched. and Black Dragons just lost that momentum. They lost that little mojo that they had. And I think they maybe came out of the gate a little bit too strong with maybe not enough in the tank. And W7M mentioned it before, you know, they're a team that are willing to scrap a victory over the line, and that's exactly what we saw.
Yeah, Jacob, I'm interested to get your thoughts as well, because I know that, you know, BD they've had the momentum recently. They've had a better stage this time around. The cumulative points don't really reflect that, but now they're kind of on the back foot. Now they're 3-3, and, you know, they're going to have to rally from this in future games.
Yeah, I figured their attacks were, like I mentioned before, they were very one-dimensional. There wasn't a lot of adaptation coming for the sites that W7M had played repeatedly over and over again and had found success on. Their entire defense half for W7M was figuring out, okay, what sites are we playing well, what sites are we kind of sucking at? And then in overtime, they went back to a site that they had won twice already and played the exact same C4 from below game that had won them those 2 rounds previously. It's just a matter of W7M reading into what Black Dragons were doing, because I don't know if they knew that they weren't going to make any adaptations, but that's ultimately what killed BD's chances of winning this game.
It's just like the teams are getting onto different levels, you know. It's like, okay, well, they're going to play scissors, so we should play rock. No, we should play paper because they know we're going to play rock, scissors.
There you go,
like,
yeah.
Except, you know, instead of scissors, paper, rock, it's like C4, which is admittedly a fair bit more dangerous.
The quote from Desachu,
C4, where C4 just wins. C4 just beats everything.
Wins over everything. It's welcome to our 4D game of explosive chess, right? I guess that's the way that Desachu put it at one point, and it's very hard to argue.
Well, that's the thing, like my background, for those of you who don't know with esports, is Magic the Gathering, which often I describe as a cross between poker and chess, right? Like chess, obviously, you know, the game has been like thousands of years. So Rainbow Six is a cross between chess and like bombs, I guess. Chess and like explosives. Yeah, sure. All right, I can see that. We are standing by waiting for an interview. I believe that we've got Mav, who's going to be joining us from W7M. Jacob, you were telling me a little bit about Mav, a stalwart and a bit of a veteran of this game.
Yeah, it'll be nice to get his thoughts on how this game transpired. He's been on a lot of very prominent rosters in the past. Even most of it was FaZe Clan, but it'll be good to get his opinions on how this game went down.
Yes, indeed. Well, I believe we can bring him in now and have a chat with the player from W7M, Mav, standing by, ready to join us. Welcome to the show, Mav. Congratulations on the win. You really put on quite a performance. How's the team feeling after picking up the W?
We're very happy because the game was like in their hands, like 6-4, and we came back. So these 2 points are very important for us. We knew it was going to be a hard game, but Consulate especially was even harder because they haven't played it in a long time, and we as a lineup with me and GDN haven't played as well. So it was a game without any studies from each team. That's why we kind of had maybe some ugly attacks because it really caught us off guard. But it was really good, and we are very happy that we are accumulating points to finally leave the last position. So
I think, Mav, I want to kick off. It was a great game to watch, but you guys really have a habit of really sort of going the long way about things. Another overtime win for you here. Is that just something that you guys have just got so much grit and determination to get it over the line? Because that was a game that really Black Dragons ought to have won before it got to an overtime.
Yeah, we haven't yet had an easy game. Maybe the easiest one was for Liquid against us, but that's a sign that we are, even though like not in the top 4, not an amazing form, since we are a very new team, that we can still like go head to head to almost anyone. So we are just progressing. We have been playing like every single map, so it's a hard game to study, to analyze us which map is gonna go. But yeah, our mental. It's showed up today. We knew like it was 6-4, and we were like, damn, let's take these 2 points. We got this. We know what we need to do, and yeah, we did it. We are very happy.
I gotta ask about your Archives Tellers defenses. It seemed like it was mostly the same play with several Nitro cells from below. But my question is more, Black Dragons opted not to make too many adaptations to the way that you played, because you played it almost the exact same way 3 times that you went to it. How did you manage to get that site to work all 3 times?
In my opinion, no team in the world knows exactly how to execute in that room, because it's so chaotic. It's just so insane. You have so many things to do. Like you have so many hatches and you have so many ways to go about this. But it's always chaos. It always goes down to everyone just dying at one point the same time. So we just kept working with the intel. They weren't picking IQ. I don't know why. I think it would really help them to like find our peoples and counter him. But we knew it was working. The C4 play was working. They tried to bait a lot of times, but it's kind of a cat and mouse game. Like, you know, you just need to try to. It's kind of luck at the same time because you need to find some random C4s, but it worked. And yeah, we're very happy. Some rounds came very close. I died to the Claymore, but I didn't knew I actually downed him. So we thought it was 1v1. So, but yeah, it was really nice.
Well, look, thanks so much for putting on a show. Congratulations on the win, and thanks for joining us, Mav. The very best to you and the rest of W7M, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Same to you guys. Bye-bye.